Um, I, I came back sooner than I thought. It- Talking like my poem. Maybe he'll talk somewhere. I don't know. I think it's really interesting. Yes, yes, my name is Katie. But that's my nickname, Winchester. My name is Katrina Winchester, but my friends call me Katie. Oh, sorry. Did you guys hear a woman's voice? I did too. It sounded scary. Holy cow. I spit coffee on the computer. Way to drown on a sip of coffee almost. Oh, so so anyway, I had a couple poems marked in my book that I was gonna present earlier, but I haven't gotten around to it. Just everything that's going on. I'll look at them real quick. But here, let me see what I can find in here. I have a few. Uh, yeah, I think these are still like I marked some that I thought were timely considering what's been going on. So they still seem to fit this morning. So I'll go ahead and read some. This poem is a poem by Roberta Hill Whiteman called The White Land. When Orion straddled his apex high, over the white land we lingered, loving. The river Eridanus flickered, foretelling tropical waves and birds arrayed in feathers of sunset. But we didn't waste that prickling dark. Not a dog barked our arrival before dawn. Only in sleep did I drift vagabond. and suffer the patterns that constantly state time has no time. Fate is a warlord. That morning, I listened to your long breath for decades. That morning, you said bears fell over the white land, leaving their lair in thick polar fur. They roused our joy by leaving no footprint. Ones fell headlong, but most of them danced, then without quarrel, balanced on branches. I couldn't breathe in the roar of that plane, flying me back to a wooded horizon. Regular rhythms bridge my uneven sleep. What if the wind in the white land keeps you? Dishwater's luminous. A truck grinds down the street. You know, I was thinking about the images that are coming out of Washington, come out of Washington from Capitol Hill, and I've posted a few comments on YouTube, here and there. There are a lot of trolls. There are anyway, but like right now, and it's really bad. But you know, it's really frustrating when they're so delusional and so wrong with their statements that are fed solely on their emotion and what they can and their uneducated opinions, and then they want to start with you and they're like, you're stupid, you're wrong. It's like, but I'm not though. And they want to like engage you like, so but that's just it is what it is. you know Assholes, right? And opinions, everyone has one, at least one. you know so anyway, um yeah, but I really make it a point, it's to like with my comments are, well, I feel like are like well directed because I'm trying to explain what I know, in order to be helpful, and that never works for me. It never did, not since I was a kid in school, my whole adult life. So, because those people, they don't want to listen. They don't know how to listen. All they want to do is just run their mouth. That's stupid. Blah, blah. So it's really frustrating. But those images that were coming out of Capitol Hill, I was thinking about it when it was happening. And it's watching that and seeing those people reach the Capitol, and I was sitting there, on the long shots of the site of that mob. You know, I I couldn't help thinking. I was like, the imagery invoked was like watching the mental image that I always got when I would read Dickens, that one book, A Tale of Two Cities, and when they talk about the storming of the Bastille that day and the way that Dickens wrote about that, and think about it, and like, how when you read you get a mental image of what they're talking about, like a movie playing in your, it was like watching that, you know and Capitol Hill is not the Bastille, you know? The Congressional Building, the Capitol Building, is not the Bastille. And yet, the image that that invokes is like incredible, you know? And even though the situations weren't the same, I mean, the Bastille was a French prison that was full of prisoners at the time, and the mob attacked the Bastille and invaded the Bastille to release the prisoners that were in there. And then they went after the aristocracy. And I mean, they set up the guillotine and they started lopping off the heads of aristocrats. So they went in, they took all the prisoners out of the Bastille and freed them. And then they went back and they started just chucking all the aristocrats, and the monarchy, the ruling class. They started chucking them into the Bastille, and then they brought out the guillotine, and then they would bring big carts around, and they would fill the carts up with the aristocracy and just take them out, just hundreds of them shoved in these big hay carts that have been modified as to cages on them, and would take them, and the guillotine just ran, just ran, you know, and that's when Napoleon Bonaparte asserted himself, you know, saying that they were doing this because the aristocracy had no right to treat people of France the way that they do. They were decadent, and they were wrong, and they were just a bunch of rich guys that want to tell the rest of us what to do. And then, you know, and as soon as they had killed, and I mean, they literally executed so many of the royal families of France and in France at the time. They killed so many of them that it was like a genocide. And then to those people and their families, and then, you know, having gotten them all out of the way and taken over everything that belonged to them, Napoleon Bonaparte declared himself emperor, right? The head of the church and of the state, he claimed. And it still wasn't good enough. You know, once he had done that, wrapped himself up in royal robes and furs and put a crown on his head and said he was the emperor. And then all of a sudden, all of the peasants, and that's the class that these people were, peasants, who had done this to the aristocracy, they quickly found themselves that he loved Madame Guillotine. He loved her more than any of the citizens of France, the Republic of France, and he insisted that she be kept going, chopping off the heads. You know, so then they went after each other, like which peasants didn't like which peasants in the first place, and 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 then like a class of just like shopkeepers and the merchant class of peasants that had always been lower rung. They considered themselves highest rung, and they would give names and inform on everyone else in the towns and cities, and they would chuck them into the Bastille, and then they would just keep going and going and going until the rest of the known world at the time, their leaders descended and Napoleon and helped to restore, but it was so late. It was so many French people died that it was crazy. And that was when King Louis and his queen Antoinette were seated on the throne. So, and those two were eventually executed as well, executed while they were trying to get them out of the country. So this isn't any joke. And and Donald Trump is not justified in what he has done. And I understand that cross-party politics, a lot of Republicans are like saying, they just really don't want to go through with any of this. They don't. And and to people that would be angered quickly, that looks like they want to stick up for Donald Trump, which, is nerve-wracking to the United States citizen. And we are the Republic of the United States for which it stands. You know, that means us. And and it's really hard because, we're watching them and a lot of them are like, we just want this to be over. It's, we don't want to, but it's not going to, okay? It's not going to because of what Donald did. It's not, and it's gotta be really frustrating, um, having been a person that ran on their own merit, spent their own money for their campaign, was elected, has their own political agenda based on their goals in their term of office, their representation of the district that and the people that sent them up there, that there's never enough time for that anyway. To try to get it all done is crazy anyway, and now this, and Donald's supposed to be gone in 7 days, and they're supposed to be able to get to what that they came there to Washington to do, you know? But, you know, that's too bad, okay, because you got the job now, and it just made so much work for and I understand that, and that's understandable, and it doesn't matter if you're a Republican, you know? Everyone is thusly affected now, and this means us, and that means you have to do your job, and it's not gonna be easy. It's not gonna go away, but that's, back to the Starship Enterprise, it's like highly illogical government official. It's it's not gonna be over in 7 days because of what he did, we can't and that's your chair. So you need to take your seat and get ready to buckle yourself down and put your little nose to your grindstone and get it done. Yeah, it sucks that he made everything for everybody else. But you know, those make no mistake about it. Those insurrectionists that Donald Trump started as soon as he was inaugurated, there was things happening before, in the form of like civil protests and and stuff like that against the government, that was heating up before he was elected. But once he got elected, that just broke out immediately. It wasn't hardly just a matter of days, really, after he took office, that those riots started down in North Carolina, where white supremacists popped up and started rioting, and the peaceful protesters met them, and the groups clashed. And right then he stood up and he refused to rebuke those people. And he's just been egging it on the whole time. I mean, look at how 2020 began. Everybody in the whole world was telling everybody, stay home, social distance, self quarantine. And he's like, go out to the streets and protest it. everyone. And so this isn't even the first time that he's like egged it on in all of this. And all of those people, those insurrectionists, they are now uniting under Donald Trump's flag. I mean, you saw them. They took the United States flag down off the Capitol building and put Trump's campaign flag up on the building. They are all united. QAnon, Antifa, named and unnamed white supremacist groups. And, he even made a peace agreement with the Taliban back in February of this year. Donald Trump did. Okay. And they are uniting under Donald Trump. And even if he's not going to be president of the United States one way or another in like 7 days, he is still the one who has united these people in insurrection against the government of the United States. So that's what I have to say about it. This is also a poem by Roberta Hill White. It's called From the Sun Itself. While something hummed along the river, I sat on a wooded hill in spring, playing my flute to fluttering green. At my feet, a bellwort and a fern. A white pine churned above me. From the sun itself, the bellwort's flame. An oak branch snapped and crashed behind me as heat came through the canopy. A huge hawk folded, fell, then opening his mantle, swooped under oaks with no qualm. With the mastery of ashes, he twisted, lifted, and turned, grazing easily on broad wings. I clung to a high note, more for my health than his. No stranger to the scheming wind, he hit the rim of the hill, flicked his red tail, and broke into blue. The mottled light beneath his wings scattered into beaches below. Giddy with flight, I stood silent, for he knew what the human heart renounces. He circled east and flew to the sun itself. So drawn to him by my longing, I didn't hear the deepening groan. As bellwort, fern, and pine bough grew greener, the chopper's keen blade lagged for a moment after a dawn raid on the gypsy moon. The pilot may never know he was swinging the fierce edge of our twilight. Those bloody insurrectionists deserve what they got. All right, one more. This is a poem by Jim Barnes. It's called Autobiography, chapter 152. Um, yeah, that's right. Wait, hold on. Let me start again. This is a poem by Jim Barnes. Its title is Autobiography, chapter 42. 3 days in Louisville. Everything is the cause of itself. Ralph Waldo Emerson. 1. Coming down into an air brown as whiskey, the plane drops onto the strip like a practiced crow, ready for another's kill. Talons wild for dead game. This fierce town will hold you 3 days running. The nervous prance that cracks your bones tells you plain there's nothing sure about. You count your chances for survival slim. This is no town for poets. The weather is never right, the air a constant sour mash and scream. The city sprawls like a gutted horse, and the taxi you take can't even offer tours. The hotel so cold, it smells of juniper and gin. In East St. Louis this morning, a stable burned, the horses screaming in their stalls. Total loss. And now you burn. Wild mares beating in your brain. You're no hero, barely sane. You will read your poems to whoever is there or to the night. You will read something with hooves in it, something with hands, something in the saddle to ride mankind. You eat Italian with your friends who have driven 1,000 miles, weathered well through the gangstered middle of this land, are green for poetry and bourbon on the rock. The horses in your head are pulling at the reins, anxious for the race they cannot run. A heavy smell of char stings your eyes. Sight of steak, singed and bloody, turns you cold. There is no muse to pull a poem out of this. Your fat friend across your plate plays patrician with his words, the bad sonnet falling from his mouth like sauce. When you were young, the horses in the meadows danced, and the grooming wind greened their eyes, and the sun filled their hooves with fire. Now the horses die, and the violent sky cracks with the thunder of stampede. Gods gone crazy in whiskey dark. Hands above your head to keep your vision clear, you watch the car stagger in midair, half buried in the rainy pavement at your feet is a spent cartridge of a Smith & Wesson 45. 3. The muraled walls are big with horses' heads. Paddocks and colonels are cornering at every turn you make. You enter the poetry room at half lope, late, your bones popping like pistols at the track. 3 days in Louisville, and your brain ferments a race you swore you'd never see. You dream. Pastern's broken nostrils flared, a bullet between the eyes. You lose your poems and the words run out, but you can't lose the horses in your head. In Tennessee or somewhere down from here, they wrap the pasterns tight in wire, and the walking horse learns his name, dancing through quarter time. You've come to dread the afterwards, the taking stock that follows poems that's supposed to help you tighten up the pace. You know it's hard to drop a line or life. Always too much at stake. The bourbon you finally allow yourself in bed is pure flame. You take it like you take the lie of sunny weather on TV, agape. On the nightstand, a phone book, Gideon, line neck. Just there, just there. Your young male voice saying, why can't I go? This is, don't let it run. Anyway, coffee's cold. I'm gonna shut this up now. That was weird, huh?